Right, so this is Simon. Simon is going to be doing some personal training with me today. We're going to go over Simon's kind of history, the journey that we're about to embark on, what we can expect, what his expectations are, what my expectations of him might be, his worries, concerns, why he's choosing to do this now. And we're going to make some predictions about, and we'll see if they come true. Just a wee bit of fun. Not any, no pressure. I'm not going to predict you're going to be deadlifting 300 kilos or anything. Don't worry. And yeah, so let's just start off. Well, we'll maybe not go in that order. Let's start off with your worries and concerns. I mean, what like that maybe ties into why you're doing this now.
Yeah. So in terms of worries and concerns, as I've said to you before, I got COVID almost 3 years ago now. One of the things that happened when I had COVID wasn't so much of an issue. A couple of weeks, maybe a month after having it, I started getting chest pains. I was started losing my vision. This is whilst I was driving to meet a client. Went numb in my arms and my legs, my face, and had to pull over, called an ambulance. Thought I was having a heart attack, basically. My breathing was all over the place.
I think that was a fair assumption. You never know what was going on.
And I mean, luckily I wasn't, but what's happened since then, that happened several other times. So about 3 trips into hospital with an ambulance, and a couple of years, 2 and 3/4 years now, trying to get to the bottom of things. So my worries are that I've got something, I guess, something fundamentally wrong that they haven't picked up. But equally, my worries are if I don't start doing something more proactive for my health, I'm not giving myself the opportunity to feel better. So I feel like I've had tests, my heart's checked out okay, my lungs have checked out okay. But what I've got now is for the best part of 3 years, not doing any exercise other than walking. I feel weak, I feel tired, I don't have a lot of energy. Mobility wise, I've really noticed how much I've stiffened up, but I guess not moving as much, not doing as much. And so my worries really, I guess, are for the future. If I don't start doing something now, and I think one of the key things was when I was the first time round, sat in the car waiting for the ambulance. I was making all kinds of deals. That get through this and I'll eat better. I'll look after myself. You make all these promises, and of course, that works well for a month or so, and then it all starts falling by the wayside again. And so I think, it's that if not now, when, I can always pick a reason not to do it. But actually it's about what do I want the rest of my life to look like, and ultimately I want to feel energetic. I want to have that kind of get up and go and do things, but I also want that confidence in myself that I'm not just going to keel over or be fatigued. One of the consequences I've had is that if I do too much, it can wipe me out for 3 or 4 days, and when I say wiped out, it's pretty much, sleeping for 3 or 4 days. So that's I guess those are my worries and concerns. I guess the only other part to that is one of the things, seeing the consultants with the long COVID, was that my body puts a demand for energy out. My body produces the energy, but I'm then not absorbing it.
Right. Okay.
So I guess one of the worries there is what's going to happen when I start expending energy.
Right. Okay.
How's that going to sort of react?
So the way I would ask you to think about it is basically exercise is like medicine. Now, any medicine you take too much of it can have negative side effects.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is we have to do some experimenting. We have to take things really easy and just get the dose right. And I would rather we underdosed you to begin with.
Yeah.
and just started, okay, you dealt with that, fine, let's bring it up a little bit. Okay, dealt with that, fine, bring it up. And if we ever get too close to that line where you start getting symptoms like you're fatigued all the time, irritability, inflammation, sore joints, all that kind of stuff. So those are all things we really need to keep an eye on.
Okay.
And just that iterative process, that communication between me and you. Oh yeah, hi James, that workout was good yesterday, but today I feel absolutely wiped out.
Yeah.
We maybe know, well, we can assess a few things. Did you have a good sleep? Did you eat enough? And then what's your life stress like?
Yeah.
And if you're green light on all those things are under control, and we know that the mitigating factor was maybe we just pushed it a little bit too hard in the gym.
Yeah.
And that's all things that we just, the process of us communicating with each other will work through, and
Brilliant.
There will be times where we mess it up.
Yeah.
And we maybe do a little bit too much. I mean, I've been lifting weights for 20 years and I still do that. You feel good and you just put a little bit too much into a session, and you wake up the next day and you're like, why did I do that? But yeah, it's even more critical that we just take it very slowly with someone in your situation, and we realize the idiosyncrasies of your particular set of circumstances will require just a bit of a softer touch.
Yeah.
But we still are going to get you stronger. We're still going to concentrate on your food and your diet and your sleep and all those things, and build those habits that are going to help you down the road.
Excellent. Yeah. Sounds good.
So why, you kind of covered it. The next thing I was going to ask you is like, why now? It seems to be like you're thinking, if I don't start now, it might be too late.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, again, that was one of the conversations I was having with myself in the car waiting for the ambulance. Why haven't you done anything? Why haven't you looked after yourself better? Why haven't you eaten better? Why don't you exercise more? It's all those things. So it's, I don't want to fast forward. I don't want to be having that conversation again. But equally, I think, when I work with my coaching clients, it's what can you do today to that your future self is grateful for, and it's, okay, what I can do now is start making more positive choices, be a bit more conscious in what I do, how I live my life, physically, mentally, nutrition, all those sorts of things. So,
a concept that I talked about with my clients is, as an individual, you're actually a community. You're a community of you now, but you're also you in tomorrow, in a week's time, in a month's time, in a year's time. So the decisions that you've got to make have to be nested in your ability to, will Simon in a year be happy with what Simon today is doing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if I look at myself back a year, was I happy with what I was doing a year ago? The answer might be yes, the answer might be no. It's not like, so you've got to extrapolate yourself out over time and make sure that, now that doesn't mean that we're just all monks and we don't have any fun and we don't live our lives. But there's a balance to be struck there.
Absolutely.
And if you're just being hedonistic and just always living now, you are going to regret that later on in life. How many people are in their 50s and go, oh my God, my 20s were wild. And I'm suffering.
Absolutely.
And it's not even that. It's perhaps even the habits and the situations and the relationships and the people that they have had in their life during that wild time maybe lasted a bit longer than it should have. And they weren't thinking about, I mean, it's very easy to do the things that are nice and fun and
absolutely
and get your adrenaline going and feel good in the moment. Otherwise, delayed gratification, everyone would do it. Everyone would have everything they want. Everyone would be able to get every 10-year plan would go flawlessly because they would be able to delay the gratification.
That makes perfect sense. And I think it's that living life consciously, I've done too much of living in the moment, and that's okay to a point, but there comes a point where actually that's not working so well for you anymore. And so actually what I realise now looking back, yes, with the benefit of hindsight, is it absolutely would have benefited me 10, 20, 30 years ago to have thought about the future. And I like that analogy about the community, actually. It's actually important sometimes to take ourselves or view ourselves almost externally, come out of ourselves and, okay, this person now, this is where they want to get to. How can I get them there? And the fact that it's me,
there's only you. It's only you that's going to suffer.
Yeah.
But I say that, but then maybe it's not only you who's going to suffer. Like the people around you will suffer,
loved ones,
because of because of the consequences of the choices that you make. Like that's something that I see in like my mum's generation, is that through not through any ill will or like just perhaps just ignorance, is the fact that they're not looking after themselves, and now they're getting on a bit, and now they're becoming a burden on the people around them. Whereas if they had looked after, now some of those things are unavoidable. Some of those are like genetic conditions of heart, lungs, and I'm not saying that everyone is responsible for everything that happens to them, but the radical the acceptance of radical responsibility for whatever situation you are in will help in the future.
Absolutely. And I think, like you say, you can't control all the things that happen to you. Some of it's genetics and some of it's just bad luck, things like cancers and things like that can be, just random. But equally, if I'm looking after myself, if I'm physically in a good place, if I'm mentally in a good place, then I'm giving myself the best opportunity to recover from those things and to fight them,
Like you're minimizing the risk from those things, because being fit and healthy and strong, your risk of these things does go down, but it doesn't go to zero. You can just, as you said, you should be bad luck. But then if you do get struck down, I mean, who's going to have the better chance of surviving cancer? The person who's young and fit and healthy, or not young and fit, but fit, healthy and strong, no matter what age they are, versus someone who's frail, weak. And even it could even be that the mitigating factor could be actually the feeling of self-control that the person who's strong and fit and healthy has. When you're frail and old and everyone else is doing things for you, you lose your own autonomy, and you maybe lose that ability to say, like, fuck this isn't getting me. Whereas I'm very bad for saying that lifting weights will fix everything. It doesn't, but it'll damn near fix everything. The personal growth that comes from lifting weights actually, in some aspects of people's lives, outweighs, or at least rivals the purely physical part of it. Right. Some predictions. So what are you thinking in your mind? You're given your past experiences, given your how you currently feel, let's say in the first 6 months, what do you think is going to happen?
What I hope would happen, and I'm not sure on time frames and things, but what I'd like to happen is to start feeling more confident in myself. And when I say that, I mean in my ability to commit to things physically, whether that's clients with my coaching business, that I can commit to taking on bits of work, knowing that I'll be there to deliver it. I'm in a good place to deliver it. I'd like to have more energy, definitely. And that's a key thing. It's a difficult one. Just feel better, but how do you define that? But it's at the moment my energy levels are very low. I've lost confidence in, if somebody said, let's go walk up so-and-so hill, I'd probably be a bit, I'm not sure about that, so I would like to just have that confidence again to go and do things and live life, and not, I think life's happening around me at the moment, and I've allowed that to happen. So now it's like, right, I want to build that confidence again to kind of take it by the scruff of the neck and go, right, okay, this is what's going to happen. You know, big believer in that sort of extreme ownership. Yeah, rather than these things are happening to me or I'm a victim of these things.
Yeah.
Forget about all that. What can I do?
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that will kind of snowball. I think once I start making that progress, get a bit more confident, and then I think that will hopefully translate to every area of life.
I think, part about radical responsibility is a lot of people will blame their situation or blame other people or blame X, Y, and Z for being the reason they're in this situation. But ultimately, you can't change any of that. All you can control is your own thoughts, your own behaviors, your own expectations. People like me are there for you. Like people like me as a personal trainer, I'm there for guidance and a sounding board, shall we say, and the technical detail in terms of how to perform a squat. But the responsibility really has to come down to you. And the thing I would say about that is that's something that if you're not doing now, you can't just. That is something that you can't just. That's not a skill you can just have overnight. It takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Every decision you make is an opportunity for you to exercise radical responsibility. And if you're only doing that, you're not doing that at all, and you go from doing that on every 50 decisions, that's an improvement.
Yeah.
And then you go from, right, I'm going to try and do one in every 25 decisions now. You can't quite track it like that. But if you get to the situation where half of the decisions you're making are based on radical responsibility, that's a hell of a lot better than you were 3 months ago.
Absolutely.
Now you're not perfect, but you're getting that, and that's about that small iterative process. So I would say if anyone's watching this, don't put pressure on yourself to be perfect right away. Just make one good decision every day, and then you'll see your life.
Yeah.
And then that's 7 good decisions a week. That's 14 good decisions every fortnight. And then in a year, that's 365 good decisions. And what you'll find is that starts to snowball. And eventually what happens is those decisions don't become decisions anymore. They just become part of what you're... They just become your routine.
Absolutely. Subconscious just happens without thinking about it.
I get 8 hours of sleep a night. I hit my 150, 200 grams of protein a day. I do my 3 workouts a week. And it doesn't become a decision at that point. If you're having to decide to do something every time, that is a heavy burden to put on yourself. But if you just do one thing and get that thing kind of cemented in your life and then just progress from there, that is 100% how people grow exponentially. They don't go from having, like, we talk a lot about Alex Hormozi.
Yes.
He didn't go from a failing gym to $250 million private equity firm in one step. He took every single tiny little step.
Absolutely.
And sometimes went backwards as well.
Like
sometimes he was going, he made a decision and he wondered, I feel like this could have been the wrong decision.
And that's okay.
That's fine. So we're going to go over to the gym now. We're going to go and see if Simon's old man shoulders can get up on the bar. That's literally the only thing I'm worried about.
That could be a problem.
We'll see. We'll maybe have to use a safety bar to squat with. We're going to teach him how to squat. We're going to teach him how to bench press, and we'll teach him how to deadlift. Maybe cut some video of that in at the end of this to see how we're going. And then what we'll do is probably another month's time, we'll do another one of these. And just see how that goes.
Brilliant. I
don't know when we're going. I don't know if we should maybe wait till we've got a few lined up before we put in.
I
don't know. My rudimentary video editing skills will be employed, and we'll get. Hopefully, people that are watching this find this inspiring. You can watch Simon's journey, and like all the usual YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff.